Hey everyone! So today I'm going to be doing a recap of NoVa Teen Book Fest. It was my first book fest and I got to go to it on Saturday. It was a really full day, but it was so much fun, so I'm hoping to go in future years or to be able to go to other fests like Y'all Fest or one in Kentucky or something, although I'm not going to be in Kentucky much longer, so I guess there wouldn't be any point in me going to one of those. But I had so much fun that I really want to do it again. So I think my plan for this video is to kind of give y'all a recap of the day I had, and then share all the many books I got. So yeah, let's start with the recap. We got there like 15-ish minutes before it was supposed to start. Doors opened like half an hour before, so we were good. And I had won a VIP status because I registered. Like, I got our tickets back before, I don't know, December 31st or something. So that was really fun. That meant we got to get in, my mom and I got to get in the first wave of signing. We had reserved seats in the auditorium, and we had reserved seats in a breakout session of our choice. And I got a swag bag packed with stuff. This was the bag. It's like really big, and it was literally packed with stuff. There's so much swag in it, like I can't even show it, like all of it to y'all. But there were things like this water bottle thingy for Unearthed by Megan Spooner and Amy Kaufman, and a little bag for the bells, and an enamel pin for Tamara Pierce's new book. And there were 3 different compact mirrors, one for Unearthed, one for the bells, and one for Fourth of the Thousand Lanterns. And then there were also 3 books at the bottom of the bag. One was a signed finished copy, and I don't remember what it was. I put it somewhere, I can't find it now. Oops. But then there were also 2 arcs. I got an arc of Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian, which I already had an e-galley of, but I'm excited to be able to read a physical copy. And this is really cool. Like, for the cover, they did one of those, like, you know, embossed things, and like to do that for an arc is so cool. They clearly like expect this to be a big book. But I'm excited to read it. And then I also got another arc that I've been wanting to read. It's called Tradition by Brendan Keeley. It's a book that was just recently came off my radar. So we'll see if it's good. I am hoping to review this one, and I was already planning to review Ash Princess, so look for this on the blog soon. Anyways, my mom and I went right into the auditorium. There was an introduction, and then there were a couple minutes to chill, and then they had the first main panel in there, which was called 24 Karat Magic. All of the panels were named after different songs, which was really fun. And then, like, between sessions, they'd be playing those songs over the speakers in the auditorium. So that panel was Tomi Adeyemi, sorry, can't speak today, Audrey Coulthurst, Susan Dennard, and A.C. Gogan. It was basically about books that like had magic systems in them. So they talked about like their books in general, and then like how they kind of developed the magic systems in their books. It was really fun to hear about Susan Dennard's. I have read Truth Witch, but not Wind Witch and Sight Witch yet. But she was talking about how like when she first started developing it, she was like there were all these different type of witches. She was like there's like a barley witch and like a bread witch and things, and then like there were jokes about like writing bread witch fan fiction and everything, like oh the bread. It's really great to be with bookish people, like, they kind of get what I feel about, like, different foods and whatnot, so it's great. So we did that, and then we're going to a mini panel, possibly, in the choir room, but it filled up before we could get there, so we spent, like, the next 40 minutes just chilling, because I didn't really feel like going to the main panel, or, like, I think there was a game panel at the same time, I didn't feel like going to that either. So we just kind of chilled. We picked up my books that I'd pre-ordered, went to a couple different libraries and sponsors in the area had like little tables in the main hallway, so we went to a couple of those, like did a couple prize game type thingies, figured out where we'd be going for lunch, like where the food trucks were and everything, and then we just kind of chilled until the spotlight panel, which was back in the auditorium, and that was Donielle Clayton and Tomi Adeyemi in conversation, and it was like a really short little panel, but it was so cute and fun. That you could tell like they know each other and like they got along really well, and they had fun and we had fun. It was good to hear like a little more about specifically about little things in their books. Like they talked about animals, like the big animals in Tomi's book, and then the little teacup pets in the bells, so it's kind of fun to compare between those. And then we went to lunch. That was really, we were really pressed for time there because like they literally gave us half an hour for lunch, and there were only 2 food trucks plus like a donut cart out there, and there were, you know, like I think I heard at some point there were 900 people at NoVa, and it definitely felt like it. It definitely felt like all those people were out there in those food truck lines. So the one critique I have is that they should like try and get more food trucks for future years, because I know some people probably could have tried to get lunch during the like 11:25 panel, or then like after like at the 12:40 panel, but I definitely had ones I wanted to go to for both those times, so we were pressed into like that 12 o'clock, like half hour to try and get food. And what happened was, my mom ended up waiting in line. I went to get seats for the next panel, and she brought me my food, and I ate it while the panel was going on. I was like, no one else is really doing that in the room that I could tell, but I was like, I gotta eat, I'm trying to be discreet and everything, so the authors didn't seem to mind. Anyways, the 12:40 panel that I absolutely had to make it to was called If I Could Turn Back Time, and it was 4 authors talking about historical fiction, which is a great love of mine, so it was great fun to like hear them talk about how they found their stories they wanted to write about, and like the research they did and things like that. It was Kosako Jackson, whose book is not coming out till I think next year. It's set during the Kosovo-Serbian conflict in 1998, so it's pretty recent history, but it's not one you hear about much, so I'm excited for that. And then, let's see, Caroline Tong Richmond, who writes alternate history, set like in a world where the Axis powers won World War II. I read the first one, which was The Only Thing to Fear, I think. Something like that. I'm blanking on the titles. That came out a couple years ago, and that was like set in the part of the country that Germany got after they won the war, and then this next one she's writing is set in the part of the country that Japan got, so I'm super excited to read that. The next on the panel was L.M. Elliott, who has written some other historical fiction that I've read, but her newest book was Hamilton and Peggy. There's been like a sudden just burst of Hamilton-inspired YA novels. Like I know like there's Alex and Eliza, which I didn't feel like I'd be super into them just because like I was like, we don't really need to like do novelizations of Hamilton, but Hamilton and Peggy sounded really cool because like we don't know much about Peggy, and like we only know like little things, so I'm giving it a try. We'll see what I think. Anyways, and then the last author on the panel was Lisa Maxwell, who wrote The Last Magician, which I think I'd vaguely heard of, but it hadn't been enough on my radar. I thought it was like sort of fantasy, so to hear that it's like historical fiction and time travel was really cool for me, and I ended up buying it, and she was leaving right after that panel, so like I had to quick get it signed and everything. But it was good to hear about historical fiction. After that, we were gonna go to the next main panel in the auditorium, but then like we were just getting too tired, so we didn't. We kind of wandered around a bit because my mom like can't sit for too long. So, and then we went and waited again to make sure we got into the next mini panel in the choir room, which was talking about the process of writing, and it was called The Climb. And it was mostly stuff I already knew, but I guess it was good for my mom to like kind of hear stuff about like querying agents and writing and things. And it was just good to hear like certain things reaffirmed for me. That I don't have to write every single day, that like I should query agents, that like I should like, you know, find like those first 5 or like those first 10 like that I want the most and query those first and everything. So it was good to hear that like I am on the right track and everything, I guess. After that, we had our breakout session, which was Joanie Meadows and Bridget Kemmerer. It was in a smaller classroom, and it was just like I think there's probably maybe like 20 of us ish. And we could just ask them any questions we wanted to, talk about their books and things, and I enjoyed it. The only thing that bothered me is that there were these 2 older women, like middle-aged, senior citizen like age, who kind of dominated the question asking, and there were a ton of like teenagers in the room, even younger than me, who I don't know if they were just shy or if they felt like they couldn't get a word in, but I didn't feel like they were asking a lot of questions, and I felt bad for them. So it's like I was hoping like if those older women would give the teenagers a chance, like I was hoping they would have like been able to ask questions, because I asked maybe 1 or 2, but I didn't want to dominate it either. So, but it's still good to like have a more intimate setting with 2 authors as opposed to like the auditorium, like, when they're up on a stage, so, yeah. And then after that, we had one more mini panel. It was called You've Got a Friend in Me, and it was about authors who've written sort of companion-type novels to their previous books. So it was Bridget Kemmerer, Rachel Hartman, and Susan Dennard. And that was, everyone was kind of tired by that point, even the moderator, so it was great fun, though. Like, we're all very casual about it, and I've read all of these different books by, I read Bridget's first book, the one that, like, has a companion to it now, and I've read the companion, and I've read Seraphina by Rachel Hartman, and I've read Susan's trilogy, and then Truth Witch. So it was just good to hear about, like, how they went about writing a companion novel and why they did it. Rachel Hartman's was definitely fascinating. She's like, I built this world, and she's like, had this world in her head since she was 12. So she's like, I kind of just want to stay in it now, but, like, explored different areas of it, and, like, in different characters that maybe they even mentioned, like, once. So, like, they have, like, this whole rich backstory that we don't know about. So that's definitely, like, a really cool author thing that, like, they can build up such a world and then, like, have no reason to leave it. Although there are people like J.K. Rowling who definitely need to leave certain things. Like, it's done, just leave it be, kind of thing. But other authors, I'm like, listen, there's so many aspects, like, you can just explore still, and it's fun for us. So yeah. And then we went back to the auditorium for the keynote speech, which is done by Anna Marie McLemore. She writes magical realism, which is super fun. I've known about her books since The Weight of Feathers came out, and then I got Wild Beauty in my owl crate this past October, so that was great fun to hear from her. She talks about kind of, like, basically not letting other people write your story. She talked about her experiences, like, growing up Latinx, and how that affected, like, her college application process and things like that. So it was really good to hear about that. And then we went to the signing. Even though we got in the first wave, we still didn't leave until, I think, oh gosh, close to 7, I feel like. It's partly my fault. We got in there, and I didn't know, like, how they had all the authors sitting up, so I was like, alright, let's just, like, kind of wander, see, like, who we see first. And then I realized, like, certain authors were getting really long lines, and I was like, we should have gone to those first. So, like, most of our time towards the end was spent waiting in line for Tomie and Susan and Danielle, although my mom held our spot in Tomie's line because it was so long while I waited in Danielle's, because hers was just a little shorter, and it was moving faster. But other than that, it was really good. And now I'm going to show off all the books I got, like, in conjunction with talking about the signing. So, first up, I think the very first author who I went to was Jennifer Matthew, who wrote Devoted. I've loved Devoted since I had an e-galley of it. It's so good, y'all. So it was good to meet her and get my book signed. And I love that her, like, there's a word for it. It's early. I'm blanking. Basically, like, the thing that she put besides, like, my name and her signature, she said, like, may you live your one wild and precious life. And that's a reference, I think, to a Mary Oliver poem, I think, which is referenced a couple times in the book. So I thought that was really cute and fun. Then I also, of course, had a book for Anna Marie to sign. My copy of Wild Beauty has a book plate in it, so I didn't need her to sign that. But of course I needed her to sign The Weight of Feathers. There's The Weight of Feathers. And then, if you look, she drew little feathers. And then, of course, I also met Joanie Meadows. I had 2 books for her to sign. I had Before She Ignites, and I have the Owl Crate cover of it because I traded for it, but I didn't get the book plate in that, so it was good to have her sign that. And then, of course, I had her sign My Lady Jane. So now I just need to meet Cynthia Han and Bertie Ashton so they can sign it as well. But then also when I was with her, we talked about My Plain Jane, which is, like, not really a companion to My Lady Jane. It's just kind of continuing the theme of, like, rewriting stories for Janes. And I just finished my e-galley, so I was telling her, like, I loved how they remixed it and everything and all that, so it was good to talk about that. And then I met Megan Spooner, who wrote a ton of books with Amy Kaufman, but then also has written Hunted on her own, which is my favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling. So we talked a bit about that, and she loved hearing that, like, I loved it so much. She was super nice. I'm hoping she writes more, like, fairy tale retellings in the future, because, like, I'd love to read them and everything. So yeah. And then, let's see. I got More Than We Can Tell by Bridget Kemmerer. My best friend had wanted to go with me, but she ended up having basketball practice. She's a manager for a team at a university in the area. So I got Letters to the Lost for her because she requested that one, and then I got More Than We Can Tell for myself, which is fun because the main character is also named Emma. So I loved reading it, and plus it's a Bloomsbury book. Like, I love most of the stuff that Bloomsbury publishes, so this was great fun to actually like meet Bridget and everything. Okay, so those are all the books I brought from home. I pre-ordered 3 for myself, and I left with 7. What happened was, we went to the historical fiction panel, and I realized I actually kind of really wanted Hamilton and Peggy and The Last Magician, so I asked my mom to get them for me as an early Easter present. And then I also ended up, I didn't realize that they would have the Radical Element that it would be out already, because it's not technically coming out till today. And I love historical fiction anthologies, so like I had to get that. And as I'm sitting in line waiting for Susan's signing, like I had my copy of Truth Witch that I had brought from home, and I pre-ordered Sight Witch, and I was like, I really want Wind Witch, because then like I don't have to like read a library copy and like stress about trying to fit into like reading it before it's due. So I went and bought Wind Witch. So yeah, I left with 7 books. Probably spent more money than I should have this weekend, but books are my kryptonite. Anyways, so here's the copy of The Radical Element, which comes up today. Y'all should definitely read it, should definitely buy it. If you haven't read the other anthology that Jessica Spotswood has organized, it's called The Tyranny of Petticoats. Super fun. The only 2 authors that were there for this anthology this time were Danielle and Anna Marie, but they both signed, and then they also signed by their stories, if I can find it. So like they signed like the first few pages, but then they also signed by their stories, which I think is a super cool practice. 128. Yeah. So there's Anna Marie's signature. And then Danielle. So that was fun, like, and I'm hoping like to meet various authors who else are in it, so then I can get signed by them, like Mackenzie Lee and Dahlia Adler, people like that. So yeah. Let's see, what else do I have here? Obviously I have the copy of The Last Magician that I had to have Lisa Quick sign before she left. Super pretty cover, like look at the back, it's the Brooklyn Bridge and it looks like it's on fire. And then Hamilton and Peggy. And when Laura had a very short line, Elliot had a short line, so I talked to her a bit about writing, and what I like, and wanting to write historical fiction and things like that. So it was good to talk to like an author who writes historical fiction about it. So yeah. Here is Tomi's book, Children of Blood and Bone. It's so big and it's so lovely, and I cannot wait to read it. It's got a map in it. And then besides like her signing it, they did this thing, you could take a quiz to find out, I think, what clan you were. I think that was what it was. So I am part of the Burner clan. So then they did this cute little stamp of a fire. They had stamps for each of the clans, which I thought is so cool and so special. I don't know if they were doing that at her other tour events or just at the festival. I feel like they were probably doing it at her other tour events, but I liked it a lot. Definitely a thing for other publishers to keep in mind for like different books. Anyways, and then I have my giant stack of all of Susan's books. What's really cool, she told us in the companion book panel, was that Sight Witch was kind of like, it's a collection of documents and whatnot, so it's kind of, it technically could be a book in the canon, or something like, I don't know, I'm already blanking out on what happened on Saturday. But basically, it's got another title underneath, The True Tale of the 12 Paladins, which I guess is a book or a collection or like document within the canon of the Truth Witch universe. So that was really cool. But yeah, now I can finally read Wind Witch and Sight Witch and not have to worry about returning them to the library or anything, so hopefully I'll like won't feel rushed and I'll read them when I really want to and everything. So yeah, that was all the many books I got NoVa. If you want to see like a full picture of them, just go look at my Bookstagram. I put some other pictures up from that day, like different panels and whatnot, and I was so bad about taking pictures with the authors during the signing. I didn't do any like that I'm in, just because like the authors that I thought about it with had longer lines, so I didn't want to hold up the line. There were a couple that I remember to do it while they were signing, like I took a picture while they were signing my book. But I kept forgetting for most of them because it's just not something that, like, I'm used to anymore because I don't get to go to many author events. But yeah, this video is now 20 minutes long, so I need to finish this up. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions about NoVa, I'm happy to answer them. And tell me if you guys have gone to any, like, book fests or anything. So yeah, have a great day!